your Sports Dialogue podcast host, Paul Edwards.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Dialogue podcast. I believe it's episode 12. Before I get started, I just want to, today is May 25th, Memorial Day. So I wanted to say thank you for all those who have served and for all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice and service. Thank you. I'm here now to discuss the NBA playoffs. In the East, we have the New York Knicks and the Cavs from Cleveland. In the West, we have the Spurs, San Antonio Spurs, and OKC Thunder. And tonight, the Knicks are going to play the Cavs in Game 4. And I'll discuss that momentarily. But I wanted to take a look back before I get into the analysis of Game 3 and Game 4. I want to take a look back at what I said going into Game 3, before Game 3. Game 3 meaning Game 3 between the Knicks and the Cavs. And I talked a little bit about intensity, talked a little bit about why I thought it was a must-win for the Knicks. So I'm going to play back to you what I said, and then I'm going to play to you the highlights of Game 3. And then after the highlights, I'll come back and discuss Game 3, 2, and 1. But if the Knicks can win Game 3, in my opinion, there goes that home court advantage in terms of we'll play better at home. You might, but you still lost. So if the Knicks can win Game 3 and go up 3-0, the series will probably be a 4 or 5 game series. And the importance of that is if the series in the West goes 6-7, the Knicks can rest again. And I spoke to you in a previous episode about how I think rest is beneficial, particularly during these playoffs. And, there's a lot of stress on the body, and I hate to use a nasty word like injury, but you can see that players are getting injured, which is a part of the sport. But I think rest would help to avoid some of those injuries. So I think if the Knicks can win Game 3, I think the series is over in 4 or 5. So that's the importance of why I think the Knicks really should win Game 3 tonight. So I think that the Knicks have to play with high intensity level tonight in Game 3 as if they're down 0-2 and get Game 3 with that intensity level like they played Game 3 in Philadelphia. There's no question about that.
Knicks, meanwhile, excellent on the road in the playoffs. They are 4-1. Karl-Anthony Towns, his first shot goes down, a three-pointer.
That's how you feed it. You just keep a hand low in that pocket to either get that steal or avoid the pass.
Bridges drives baseline, gets inside, bang, shot's good. There's Josh Hart. Hart does some of the ball handling, take the load off Jalen Brunson. Wade chasing Brunson. Brunson gets inside, his layup is good.
You can't lose the 50-50 battle when you're down 2-0.
Anunoby drives on Mitchell. Mitchell already has one foul. Jump shot, and that rolls in. Towns has Harden on him. Mobley looking to help. Mobley gets into the paint. Towns looking. Turns, off 1 foot, gets it to go. Landry Shamet getting some early action here in the first. Brunson drives on Strus. Towns, very offensive-oriented, looking for a shot. Sidestep, Ladley banks it home. He's in double figures now, and it's a 7-point Knick lead.
But what I liked on that early defense is that Strus stayed with Brunson. He went under the screen. He didn't concede that easy switch.
Mobley loses it. Shamet fires. Shamet hits a three-pointer.
And then numbers in the open floor. Cleveland's got to do a much better job of matching up early.
Schroeder right up into Brunson. 7 on the 24. Brunson, beautiful pass inside. Shamet out to McBride. Corner three, got it.
This is that rub cut they love to run with Brunson on the baseline where Karl-Anthony Towns becomes the passer.
Hart looking for Towns. Tyson on him, but again, Mobley in the vicinity. Hart fakes, Hart drives, goes reverse. Little English off the glass. Bridges with Tyson on him. Tough fall away shot, gets it to go. Bridges once again hits a difficult shot. These are the type of games that Harden was acquired for. As Anunoby continues his hot shooting as well. Allen had it, lost it. Brunson took it away. Sidestep Brunson, righty layup, banks it home. Mitchell guarding him, kicks it out in the corner. Anunoby on the attack, finds Hart. Hart backs in against Harden, pull back, jumper, got it. As Bridges back to Brunson.
And that shot will be there for Mobley. Stepped into that one with confidence.
Jalen Brunson steps into that with confidence. He's in double figures. Hart from three is 1 for 3. Hart races down the floor, another deflection, and then Bridges helps out. That's great transition defense. Anunoby against Jarrett Allen. Anunoby puts it on the floor. Nice feed inside. Bridges banks it home.
They just can't find that one shot. That one shot that gets them over the edge. It seems like they're always going uphill, and that is entirely too easy.
7 on the 24. Brunson picks him up on the switch. Hart right back to him. Pass inside, deflected by Towns. Sloppy turnovers. Oh, what a pass from Anunoby, and Bridges with the finish. Bridges running the floor, kicks it out to Towns. Jarrett Allen gets inside. Bridges gets inside. Another beautiful pass from Towns.
He knew Robinson was going to block that, so he brought it back to the left, made it much more difficult finish.
Anunoby sees an opening and finishes. Brunson fakes, drives, gets inside. Layup, he banks it home, and this is the largest lead of the game. Brunson and Schroeder one-on-one. Brunson drives, pulls up, jump shot, it's good. Couple of offensive boards, and it's back to 7. There's Brunson, the floater's up. Robinson throws it down. That one was close to being above the cylinder. And the third quarter comes to an end. 91-82. This presentation of the Eastern Conference Finals presented by Duncan on ABC.
He gets his basketball back. He's going to want a clear out or a screen to try to get a switch.
Shot clock winding down. Brunson whips to the shot. Open three in the corner. Puts it in. Shot clock at 7. Brunson to Shannon. 5 on the 24. Tries another one. Hits another one. Landry shove it on fire. 7 on the 24.
They're trying to get Donovan Mitchell or James Harden in action.
Brunson the drive. Left-handed off the glass. What a shot from Jalen Brunson. Brunson gets free from Strus. Brunson drives on Strus. Gets into the paint. Running layup is up and good.
Okay. Okay. So you saw what I said before game 3 regarding the intensity level, which I thought the Knicks had to play at to win. And that's very important, that intensity level. Because even if, the box scores don't show it, but even if you don't shoot as well, may miss a few foul shots or even turn the ball over, when you play with that intensity level, you create turnovers, you disrupt the other team. So that's why I think it's very, very, very important for the Knicks to play with that intensity level. And as far as game 3, you see the Knicks are up 3-0 now. So if history, repeats itself, it's unlikely that the Knicks will not win this series because it's very tough to come back down 0-3. So, that was why game 3 was super important. Now, game 4 is just as important, in my opinion, and I'll discuss that in a minute. But let's take a look at the stats from game 3, and I'll compare it to game 2 and game 1 for the New York Knicks. So it looks as if that the New York Knicks in game 3 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures, which is good. That means they're getting scoring from a variety of sources. And they shot it 55.8% from the field. So that's almost 56%. So for those of you who don't know, that's almost 6 out of every 10 shots that you take. And normally, if you're shooting 50%, that's very good. 5 out of 10. But now they're almost up to 6 out of 10 from the field. And then from the 3-point percentage line, which is that line, that further line back, that if you make it beyond that line, you get 3 points. They're almost at 40% in game 3, 39.3% in game 3. So, if you compare that to game 2, And I'm going to show you a pattern here. Game 2, they meaning the Knicks had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures, where in game 3 they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they had 6 guys in game 3 in double figures, and 5 gentlemen in game 2 with double figures. In game 2, they shot 51.8%. So that's 52, almost 52%. And in game 3, they upped that to almost 56%. So you see the pattern here. They're improving. And in game 1, the Knicks shot 47.7%. That's 47, almost 48 from the from field goal percentage, and 31% from 3. So each game, they increase their shooting percentage not only from the field, but from the 3-point line. And in game 1, let's see, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in double figures, 5 players in double figures. And in game 2, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. And then game 3, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures. So that tells me, and then the shooting percentage is increased also. So that tells me that the rust is, as they play more and more, the rust is wearing off and they're shooting better, which is a good thing. Although I still stand by the rest, and we'll talk about that momentarily. As for the Cavs in game 3, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. They shot at 50% from the field, which is not bad. But here's where I think they ran into trouble. They shot 12. They took 41 3-point attempts and made 12. So, that's 29.3%. So that's, they call it 3 out of every 10. And, they lost. If they could have shot even 40%, made, maybe 10 more threes, then, that's 30 points. And, that's a difference in the game. So I think that's one of the areas that hurt the Cavs. And we'll talk about intensity in a minute for the Cavs. And also what hurt the Cavs was the 63% from the foul line. That's a little bit over 6 out of every 10 attempts. You got to shoot better than that. They left 7 points on the table there. And then they had 17 turnovers. So I think the lack of 3-point shooting hurt the Cavs. A lot of folks talked about the intensity level of the Cavs weren't there. They didn't come out with the intensity level. As I said, sometimes this is why rest is important. I mean, you can want to come out. Your mind can say we're going to come out with the intensity level. But the question is, can the body do it? And what happens in these playoff series is, particularly they're coming off a couple of tough series, excuse me. And, I think Detroit wins 7 games. So the body will start to, wear down a little bit. The mind is saying, hey, we're coming home. We're going to show the Knicks a different Cavs team at home, and we're going to right the ship. I mean, I believe that they believe that. But when you get on the court, the body's only going to move at its pace. And its pace is going to reflect what the body's been going through for the past few weeks. So, I'm not so sure that I'm quick to say the Cavs didn't put the effort out in terms of the I hate to use killer mentality, but, I don't mean kill. I mean just like a mentality that, hey, we want to beat this team and beat them good. We don't want to hurt them or anything like that. We may have dinner afterwards, after the series. But tonight, we don't know. We're not trying to hurt them, but we want to win the game. And you could come in with that mentality. But, if the body is only going to do what the body can do. So I'm not so sure I'm quick to blame the Cavs for not putting that extra effort out, because I'm not sure if they had it in them. And one of the other things that shows that they could be wearing down is that 12 for 41 from 3-point line. When your legs are getting tired, when you're an athlete and you're playing a game like this, one of the first things to get tired are your legs. Now, you would say, Paul, I see them running up and down the court. What do you mean their leg? They look pretty good to me. But if you know the game of basketball, you may not see the legs wearing out, but you could tell the legs are tired when you start to miss shots. Because even though you're shooting with your hands, you're actually using your legs to shoot. You're pushing off, you're jumping. And if you're a little wary, you start to miss shots. So, that usually explains, could explain the 29.3% from three-point land. But moving forward to game 4 tonight, I think, as you know, I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm rooting for the Knicks, although I'm fair. At least I try to be. I call it like I see it. If I think the Knicks have to improve in some area, I say it nicely. If I think the Cavs did well, I say it, I tell you they did well. But I just don't think they could beat the Knicks. And the Knicks tonight, it's very important for the Knicks to win tonight, in my opinion. Game 3 was important because it kind of says you're going to win this series based upon history. But game 4 is also important because, as you know, the first one to win game 4 wins the series. And the Knicks can win the series tonight, which is Monday the 25th. And if they win the series tonight, guess what? They're back resting again. OG is playing well. Again, I don't like to use the injury word, but he's coming off of an injury. And I remember back when I was playing football, I remember, depending upon the severity of the injury, a hamstring injury, that's 2 weeks at least. You're missing 2 games. And back when I played, you only played once a week. And you're not even sure to get back in the 3rd week in the game. You're back on the practice field after 2 weeks, and you're probably not going full strength. And it's iffy whether you're playing in the 3rd week in that game, the 3rd week after you're injured. So rest is really, really super important. And the Knicks would be able to rest if they win tonight, which is Monday. I think the Spurs, we'll talk about them and OKC in a little while, but it looks like that series is going to go certainly 6, maybe 7. So, the Knicks could, depending upon how long that series goes, the Knicks could get an additional 7 days worth of rest, which, there is, some downside to it, as you know, the rust in the shooting when they get back. But the benefit to it is the players that are, every player I know is banged up. Something is bothering them. So rest will help them to heal. So that's why I think it's important for them now to treat the Cavs game tonight, game 4, like they treated Philadelphia in game 4. No disrespect, but we're on a mission. We got to win this game. So that means they have to shoot, in my opinion. The intensity level has to be there. I don't see the Knicks tiring because I do see Coach Brown still going to playing the 10 players. I see a little bit of shortening of the minutes for the bench, but I still see the bench in the game, which is good. So the wear and tear is not on the starters, the 5 starters, as much. So I think that the Knicks should be able to. I know they mentally want to go out and win it. I know they mentally are going to go out with the intensity level, but I do think the bodies have not. I don't see it yet, and it happens quick. From the 1st quarter to the 3rd quarter, you can see the body start to wear that. So it happens quick in the game, from game to game, when you're playing at that high intensity level. But I think the Knicks, if the Knicks bring that intensity level tonight and continue the upward trend in the percentage of shooting, I think the Knicks closes out tonight. And you know why I think that's important. I think the Cavs are a good team. There's no question about it. But I think the way I see it now, the Knicks will win tonight. Okay, I'm going to take a break. As you may or may not know, I have a book release coming soon. So it's an important topic. So I'm going to play a promo of it just to let you know what the topic is. I think the topic is a super important topic. So stay tuned, take a look at it, and I'll be back shortly.
The Truth Plan shows us how to help to eliminate the inequities in affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and much more. The Truth Plan also shows us how the elimination of these inequities also benefits the higher income community. The goals and objectives for equity are crucial in addressing the disparities that exist in our society. A primary focus must be on eliminating the racial, wealth, and equity gaps that disproportionately affect low-income and minority communities. This involves a comprehensive approach that includes ensuring access to affordable housing, improving employment opportunities, and enhancing healthcare access for underrepresented groups. By prioritizing these areas, we can create a more equitable foundation for all individuals, regardless of their background or economic status.
The Truth Plan is a self-help plan to eliminate the racial, wealth, and equity gap that exists between the low-income, the middle-income, the Black and brown communities, and the higher-income communities. The Truth Plan believes that all communities should prosper. The success of the Truth Plan will help to eliminate the inequities between the aforementioned communities in the areas of affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and more. The higher income communities will also benefit. Prosperity for all. Never settle for less.
Okay, welcome back. In this segment, I'm going to discuss the NBA playoff series in the West. That is the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're going into, I believe it's game 5 tomorrow, which is Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken and have my dates correctly. But I'm going to play for you a short clip of what I said before game 4 when OKC was up 2-1 over San Antonio, and game 4 was in San Antonio. So I'm going to play for you briefly what I said before that game. Then I'm going to play the highlights for you. And then I'll be back to discuss what happened. I believe is why the Spurs got defeated in games 2 and 3. The Spurs are not down and out by no means. They have their injured players back now. They're starting guard and the rookie that was injured. I'm glad to see them back. I think they need to get back to what they were doing in game 1. A heavy dose of Wemby. And then the other players need to score also. But let's establish Wemby first. And then let's get 6-7 guys in double figures. That's the recipe for the Spurs to win. The recipe for OKC is don't turn the ball over. If they leave Jalen Williams open, he needs to make the shots. And they need to get 5 to 7 guys in double figures, as they did in game 2 and 3.
Wembanyama first shot. It's short. Chased down by Fox. 3T. Wemby for 3. Wembanyama had it released. He joins the defense. Holmgren to the basket. Wemby blocked him. Alive. Inside Holmgren. Too late. Shot clock violation.
To shoot a 3. That will change when Caruso comes into the game.
Wembanyama, who hasn't had many dunks the last 2 games, gets one there. Still loose. Still time. Spurs do have it. Vassell. Wembanyama. I think he's going to go. From midcourt. Got it!
See if it pays off dividends for now and later.
And especially with Chet and Isaiah on the bench.
Wemby, the friendly touch on the 3.
Okay. So you saw what I said before game 4 regarding Wemby. At the risk of repeating myself, I felt that, the Spurs had to reestablish Wemby, and it could not just be Wemby. The other players had to get involved also, which they did. And we'll take a look. You saw the highlights. So, and I did talk about OKC and in terms of what they had to do, as you heard. So let's take a look at the box scores. You saw the highlights, but let's dive into the box score and do a little deeper dive to see exactly what happened. And then I'm going to give you my prediction for game 5. As far as OKC, well, let's start with the Spurs. I said that Wemby had to be more active. They had to establish him first. And he had 33 points in game 4 on 50% shooting. So that's pretty good, 50%. And he was 42.9, which is almost 43% from the 3-point line. And 88.9, almost 89% from the foul line. So he impacted the game. In game one, he had 41 points. So and I felt that Spurs had to get, you heard what I said. So he did step up his production in game four. And I thought that was key, as you heard, for San Antonio. San Antonio had 1, 2, 3, 4 gentlemen in double figures. And I still feel that, they have to get to the 5 to 7 range, but they shot 38.9% from the field and 27.3% from three-point line with 12 turnovers. Just to be quite frank, those are not great numbers, shooting numbers. If you look at Wemby, he shot 50%. And De'Aaron Fox had 12 points and he shot 50%. And remember, De'Aaron Fox is just coming back from that injury. So, I'm not so sure what kind of pain level he's playing with. And he may have a little rust, but he still managed to get in double figures and shot at 50%, if I'm not mistaken. From three-point line, he shot at 50%. 1 of 2 from three-point line, and he shot at 38 points. So that could be better from a field goal percentage. That's less than 40%. That's 4 out of 10. But again, he's just coming off an injury. That was his first game back. He's gonna shoot a lot better. But the team, San Antonio, shot 38.9% from field goal percentage. There's room for improvement there, and 27.3. So you may ask, how did they win the game? Well, obviously Wemby scoring 33 points, but if you take a look at OKC, they shot 33% from field goal percentage, and San Antonio shot 38. So even I said that San Antonio could do better, OKC, shot 33. And then from the three-point line, I said that San Antonio needs to shoot better than 27.3%, but OKC shot 18 points. They were 6 for 33 from the three-point line, and OKC had 17 turnovers. So that's one of the reasons why, in addition to Wemby, why the Spurs won. Now, I know that. And the other thing that I said was, let's look at Jalen Williams. In game 3, he had 15 points. And they were kind of leaving him open again in game 4, or he was just getting open. I'm not sure if their strategy is to leave him open or he's just getting open. So I'm not going to comment on that. But the one thing I'll say, he's open. And in game 4, he shot 1 for 7, 14%, 14.3%. And from field goals, and 1 for 7 from 3. So it looks like it's all threes that he took. And if you take a quick look back, as I said, in game 3, his numbers were a lot better, if I'm not mistaken. He was 5 for 7. He shot 71% from the field in game 3, Jalen Williams, and he shot 83 from three-point line in game 3. But in game 4, he went down to 14.3% for a three-point line and 14.3% shooting. So again, and I'm not knocking him because it happens. I'm just trying to analyze what was different from game to game. That's all I'm doing. There's no knock on either team, Mr. Williams. I just want to make that clear. But I'm just analyzing what I'm seeing and, giving you fact. That's it. Not knocking anybody at all. But those are the reasons why I think that OKC won. Now, this could be a little insight into fatigue. They're trying hard. Both teams are really, really playing at a high intensity level. When you watch it, the intensity level is there, and the refs are letting them bang a little bit there. You see some stuff going on out there that you don't see during the regular season. So both teams not trying to hurt each other, but they are bodying up on each other. And sometimes the referees are letting it go. So both teams are playing at a high intensity level. But as I said, when you see the shooting numbers off like that, it could be a little bit of insight as to, hey, we're wearing down a little bit. And both teams could shoot a lot better. It happens. I notice it happens quickly in the NBA playoffs. I don't see teams breaking mentally, but I do see, when I say break, I mean, it's where there's a disconnect between what the mind wants the body to do and what the body's capable of doing. And after a while, it becomes obvious and you can see it. And it can happen quickly. So you might be seeing a little bit of what's to come based upon their shooting percentages. Now, they have a day off, and tomorrow, they may get some pretty good rest and come out and shoot the lights out in game 5. But both teams didn't shoot it as well as they can, which could be an indication that there's a little fatigue going on. So with that said, in game 5 in OKC, I think that the Spurs will prevail. And I'm not going to go past game 5 because, again, we have to look at that fatigue level. God forbid, I pray no one gets injured. And so I'm going game by game, but I do think the Spurs will win game 5. They have to establish Wemby. They have to get 5 to 7 plays in double figures. They must shoot a better percentage from the field and from three-point line. And on the OKC side of things, they have to shoot it a lot better. I'm not so sure what the injury status is for OKC, if they can get their top players back. Well, that'd be great if they could, but not at the risk of further injuring themselves. So we'll see what happens, but I do think it's close, but I do think that the Spurs will take Game 5. So as always, thanks for joining. Please remember to exercise. Exercise is good for the mind and the body. If you have a certain age, please make sure you get your doctor's approval before you exercise. And just be consistent with it. You don't have to do anything too strenuous. You just want to raise the heart rate, move the muscles, and there are various exercises that you can do that helps the internal organs, not only the heart, but there are a number of other organs that benefit from exercise. So please join me in exercise. You don't have to do what I do, but do something. Thank you and God bless you. We'll see you on the next episode. If you're a basketball fan, enjoy the games. See you on the next episode. God bless you.